Hey guys, welcome back to J&M Sports
Mhm.
Talk. This is Mark and Jonathan back to talk with you about the previous week in college football. So
Yep.
Jonathan, start us off.
You know what? I'm saying it was definitely another great weekend. I would say the upsets weren't the quantity they were last weekend. They definitely were the quality. I'd say so. It was a good weekend in college football. So let's jump right into our big three. Mark, who impressed you?
Yeah, so Washington State
Right.
against Oregon, that was the big college game day game of the week.
Mm-hmm.
And not only on the field, but off the field just as much. The Washington State fans, that was one of the better college game day atmospheres that we've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Started on Wednesday. They
Yeah.
they lined the streets and welcomed him in there. But Washington State, their play on the field was really good.
Mm-hmm.
It was a blowout for most of the game. Oregon
Right.
made it a little bit closer and respectable later in the game, but Washington State, they came out there and got the victory.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the things college game day is so great for college is you get to see the campuses getting all excited. They don't always get them to come. They're talking about they've been due to go there for a while, and because
Yeah.
they've had some Friday matchups that would have been great for game day to go to, they just haven't been getting the nod. So it's great to finally see college game day out there. It was a fun weekend to watch all that going on at Pullman. But who impressed me on the field? Gotta go with LSU and their defense against Mississippi State this weekend. They showed again that they're playing on every cylinder right now. That defense is just scary good. Moving on to who disappointed, I'm gonna stick with the same game and go with Mississippi State. And it wasn't so much them struggling against a very good LSU defense this week, but their offense just all season. At the end of this week, they're last in the SEC in scoring. With so many returning talent on the team, especially on the offensive side of the ball, you expect that to turn into points, and you're just not seeing Mississippi State. They're even talking about possibly putting in the backup quarterback in this week, so moving forward. So things are just not working out like we thought they would for Mississippi State. So I think they're my biggest disappointment right now. It's not through this week, but maybe through the whole year in some cases. So
Yeah, for me, my biggest disappointment was NC State. They were undefeated going into that game against
hmm
Clemson, and they just get thumped 41-7. And
yeah,
really, Ryan Finley. I mean, we had talked about how he's positioned himself to be an NFL draft pick, and he went 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Just had a rough go at it.
yep,
And NC State, it just confirms that they had a soft schedule to begin the
right,
season, and that game against West Virginia getting canceled was probably a blessing because
yeah.
that probably would have been a loss,
They probably have been similar to this week too, except probably more points scored against them because that offense might
possibly,
be a little better than
possibly.
Clemson's. But yeah, it was definitely disappointing for Finley. Hopefully, you hate to see a guy have their worst game against a big opponent like Clemson that they really could have added value to themselves moving forward. So, but he's got time to recover. They've still got some left on their schedule to finish his year out before we'll definitely see his name called somewhere in the draft. So. All right, moving on. So, how about who we thought they were this week, Mark? Who do you have?
Yeah, so sticking with the undefeated teams coming
Mm-hmm,
into the week, I was impressed with Temple.
mm-hmm.
Really, I called the upset. That it's really who I thought they were this week. It's one
Okay,
of
all
those
right.
examples.
Mm-hmm,
I picked them to beat Cincinnati, an undefeated Cincinnati team. I just thought that Temple had some decent victories early on in the season.
mm-hmm.
But at 5-3 after the victory, Temple isn't that great of a team. It's probably just Cincinnati isn't hasn't faced a lot of good teams this
Right.
season. But great for the Temple Owls getting the victory in that Philadelphia Eagles stadium.
Yep. I said good. A good thing it was good for somebody this weekend. All right, moving on. All right, for me, I want to go with the two American Florida teams.
Sticking in the American
Yep,
Conference.
stick in the American. Central Florida and South Florida, they both stay undefeated. Both look really impressive. They are who we expect them to be.
Yeah.
They both have a couple opponents still to come up, but it's looking very likely that we could see the two of them playing undefeated at the end of the year, 2 weeks in a row.
Or two
They're just
years in a
well,
row.
2 weeks in a row, but as well as an American Championship game, both being undefeated. That conference they choose. So you could very likely we could see game one of two, the first one being against undefeated each other. It was such a great game last year. I'd expect nothing less the way these teams are looking this year that You know what? Early on, I might take South Florida for the game one in this one. But they're both playing such great ball. I think I like South Florida's offense a little better right now. But it's splitting hairs at this point. I'm not gonna make a prediction, but right now, if I had to make that call, it's looking that way. But both of them were looking really impressive. Both have great offenses, solid defenses as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how they continue moving forward, and hopefully we get that matchup undefeated, Central and South Florida.
Yeah, I would really look forward to seeing that game.
Hmm.
All right, let's move on to our recap. So let's start out rivalry game.
Yep.
Michigan State. What did you see in that one?
Well, I saw a lot of hate pregame and postgame and during the game. This one started off Michigan State linking arms, walking to midfield like they do sometimes, and Michigan didn't really like that. One of their players decided to use his foot to try to destroy the Spartan head at midfield. Ironically, he gets hurt first real possession of the game. Ironically, but yeah. Then after the game, the coaches were spatting afterwards. So it was just a mess. But we did have some good football during the time the game was actually played. Both defenses I thought played really well. I think for me the biggest difference is Michigan's identity and knowing who they are offensively and having a better offense was why they won 21-7. But I thought it was a very good close game. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, it just confirms Michigan. We've been talking about their defense, how good their
Mm-hmm.
defense is, and the power running game, Shea Patterson and their running backs. So that was still on display in this one. But the biggest
Mm-hmm.
thing that surprises me is, Michigan State was held. They don't have a potent offense, but they
Mm-hmm.
were held under 100 yards total offense again.
Yeah.
Only 15 rushing yards,
Yeah.
which I mean, it's Michigan's great defense, but still,
Mm-hmm.
that's just ineptness, for lack of a better term, for Michigan State's offense. But great win for Michigan.
It is.
Um, that the ending to the Ohio State Purdue game, we'll talk more about that, but that really
Yeah.
opened the door for Michigan to not only have a chance to win the Big Ten, but
Mm-hmm.
also college football playoff.
Yep.
Becomes more of a
We'll
conversation
say
for them.
they're undefeated in conference, so that's one good thing Michigan can take. That one loss against Notre Dame is non-conference, which might hurt in the playoff discussion, but that can be fixed with a Big Ten championship. So yeah, that was a great one for them. I think them Michigan State playing them close though, even though they weren't able to run the ball, did prove that it wasn't a fluke that they beat Penn State the week before. Penn State bounced back against Indiana, so I think that was good for them. That they were there. They were in this game. It's not like they got blown out and made Penn State look worse either. So I mean, there's still everything on the table for the Big Ten to get a playoff team in there, even though it definitely did hurt the chances of Ohio State.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about another couple of good
Mm-hmm.
defenses, Mississippi State and LSU. What did you see in that game?
Like I said, big thing was the LSU's defense. They're a big part of that. I thought the offense, I thought they looked good at times, especially. Granted, the defense gave them a lot of short fields to work with. I think that was a big difference, and just Mississippi State's ineptness to be able to do anything but run the ball occasionally. They were so one dynamic. LSU knew what they were going to do before they did it, and every time they did throw, it seems like they made a mistake and almost had a pick. They had a couple interceptions thrown, but they could have had a couple more. How bad the throws were. That was my biggest takeaway. What about you?
Yeah, so Mississippi State and just being that one-dimensional team, it was easy for LSU to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
LSU was able to force 4 turnovers in that one. So that's going to play a big factor. It's hard to go on the road and only put up three points and get a victory. But yeah, this sets up a great matchup. Alabama LSU. People have been looking forward to that one. But the big takeaway from this game was White, the fantastic linebacker
Mm-hmm.
of LSU, getting that targeting foul in the second half, which means he will miss the first half of the Alabama LSU game. So that was probably the big takeaway in that one.
Yeah, say I'm sure the viewers will want to know, Mark. Does that change your pick? Are you gonna back off your pick of them beating LSU? Beating
LSU
Alabama now?
LSU will beat Alabama
Still,
in 2 weeks.
all right.
Take it to the
Hey,
bank.
more motivation. I guess you gonna try to have more motivation for them to get the job done. The world against them. All right, I like it.
Well, this is just a prediction that I'm. This
Uh,
is not the world. This is just Mark's pick that's going to be correct.
Yeah, I'm in LSU taking the field of losing White for that half. It's them against the world.
We'll see.
Entirely. That's what I meant by that. But
We'll
okay.
see. It's really
I like
Mark
it.
against the world.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the Ohio State and Purdue game. That was a blowout. Everybody expected Ohio State to be on this side of the blowout, but they actually got blown out.
Yeah, Purdue just you could tell they were motivated. It was their house. They were gonna stand strong in the house. And they played with a bit of a chip on their shoulder that getting disrespected. I think you should probably take a little more talk about it a little more because you've been talking up Brahms as a coach for a while now, and we finally got a glimpse of maybe what you've been seeing out of him.
Yeah, a few years ago, Purdue, that was a great hire for them to get him from Western Kentucky. But their offense was the most impressive thing in that game. Was they were able to move the ball and get some scrap. They've got some guys with a chip on their shoulders.
Right.
Some small scrappy guys. One of those being DJ Knox. He looked like Barry Sanders out there on the field. But he had 3 touchdowns, over 150 yards of offense. Another thing in this game was Dwayne Haskins, who I'm really high on, Ohio State quarterback. He had to throw it 73 times. It's going to be hard to win a football game when you got 73 chunks.
Yeah, I think I was joking with you pregame. I'm like, if your quarterback has to set the ball 73 times, it's going to be a blowout. It's just either you're going to blow the team out or you're probably going to get blown out.
Or you're playing from behind. Yeah, for sure.
But, all right, that's it. I think that's all of it for this week. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Sure, you're interested in some of our takes for this weekend. Look out for that. We're also going to do our rankings for the week. So look out for both of those videos, and we'll catch you guys later.
All right.